Before we get there,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I am 99.9% sure now that we do live in a simulation because I am drunk,
Yes.
but
You're listening to The Good, the Bad, and the Funny, the podcast where every week we tell 3 stories, one good, one bad, and one funny. I'm your host, Jesse McIntyre, and a funny fact about me is I can pop my big toes indefinitely.
Oh.
Do you guys want to see?
No.
Yeah, you're going to see. Shut up.
No.
no,
It's-
do not take your
Stop.
shoes
Don't
off.
take your shoes off.
It's going to happen.
Don't
Hold
take
on.
your shoes off. Ew. Ew. Oh, God.
Wow.
Ew, it keeps going. Stop. Put it away.
I
Put
said
it
indefinitely.
away.
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't need you to do it
Jesus.
forever, though.
Ugh. Okay. I'm your other host, Lynette Thomas. And what am I?
I did a horrible person.
Good. Okay. I'm your other host, Lynette Thomas. And a good fact about me is I have 2 children. And I don't beat them, even though I want.
Physically. I've seen you beat them emotionally, though.
I do not beat them emotionally. They beat me and others emotionally, if anything.
Those children are sweet saints. They're God's gifts to earth, and you are not nice to them.
The other.
I am your other host, and a bad.
No, wait. What's your name, though?
Oh, my name's Stacy Stark.
Thank you, Stacy. Nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you. And,
Thanks for being here.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. A bad fact about me is that I do not know how to show empathy. I feel empathy. I think maybe even more than a lot of people.
Are you an empath?
I don't know, but I don't know how to show empathy. Like if someone tells me like about something bad that happened to them, the best I can do is be like, "Oh man, that sucks."
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very accurate.
Hell yeah. Good for you, dude. All right. Are we ready? Umpire, Stacy?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Good.
Let's get this show on the road.
I'm good.
All right, guys. The story that we're going to be discussing today is still like an ongoing investigation, and it involves some like powerful players. So I guess I have to blanket everything I say with allegedly, although a majority of it is proven.
I don't think that's how allegedly works, but let's go.
Is this something that's like prominent in the media right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be talking about the story of the boys on the tracks.
Ooh.
Oh, I've seen Stand By Me. That's the right movie, right? Did I do that right?
Yeah. Honestly, I think any 80s movie is technically a
probably,
boys on the track movie, right?
Lost Boys.
Which ones don't have tracks? The Boxcar Kids?
That's what?
Is
That's
that
literally. Do you know what a boxcar is?
That's what I was joking.
Oh.
Sorry, I know someone who was being accused of being a pedophile and killed himself on a train.
Good for him. Thank God.
Jesus Christ.
He was like 18.
Oh, was he not an actual pedophile?
No, I
Well,
think he probably
18-year-olds can be
was if he
pedophiles.
killed himself over it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
that's
good
a
for him.
pretty, Yeah.
Good riddance. I think all pedophiles should die. Okay. So on an August night in 1987, 2 boys, Don Henry and Kevin Ives, died when they were hit by a train in Saline County, Arkansas. The thing is, medical examinations revealed that the boys were murdered prior to their bodies being placed onto the tracks.
Dun, dun, dun.
Train conductors. So when the train was coming towards the bodies, the train conductor saw that there was something on the tracks, what they described as 2 boys sleeping on the tracks with a tarp placed over them. So
How could he tell that it was boys if the tarp was over them? Was it not covering
I don't
their
think it
heads?
was covering their heads.
That seems strange. I feel like if anything, you would cover their heads too.
Yeah. Maybe the tarp just wasn't big enough.
Maybe.
You know? Yeah. Okay. So so when they hit the boys, so trains hit a lot of things. And people often do suicide by train, like that guy you mentioned did. And when you hit something alive, when a train hits something alive, it explodes. And when it does, it like explodes blood everywhere. Red blood. But when they hit...
As opposed to...
I'm about to go into it.
Blue blood.
When they hit the boys, the blood was purple and thick, which denotes that they were already dead before their blood began to coagulate and no oxygen was coming in, and that's why it turns like purpley. Okay, so so they noted that. Then the train conductors eventually like get the train to stop, and they call the police and the first responders, and the first responders responded.
Hell
The
yeah.
the EMTs also made a note that the thick purple blood and right that the kids were already dead before they were placed on the tracks. Police.
I mean, you could also guess because of the tarp if they were under a tarp.
Yeah, maybe they were just taking a nice little nap.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's not
Well,
a thing.
tarp nap.
As one does.
As
You
one
know.
does. The police, however, treated it like like accidental deaths on the train tracks. They lost the tarp, and to this day, just claimed that the tarp was hallucinated by the train conductors, which is like, okay. They said they saw two boys laying on the track, but they all hallucinated a tarp.
tarp?
Like, okay.
Can I make a prediction? The police are acting all like they don't know things because they're the ones who did it.
All right. Prediction made.
I think it was the train conductor.
So back to the police. So they pretended the tarp wasn't there. They also like scooped up everything at the at the crime scene in such a haste that they left one of the boys' foot there.
Just a foot.
Just a foot. Just there on the track.
Just kicking it, if you will.
So a little bit about the boys. Henry and Ives were best friends. One was 16, one was 17. They had been best friends throughout their childhood. They left their houses around midnight with their parents knew. They left their house around midnight because they went to go spotlighting. Does any white want to tell me what that is?
I don't know.
Wait, they were what?
This is not a
Spotlighting.
brand of white I'm familiar with.
The two boys were spotlighting.
Is it a sex thing?
It is not.
Spotlighting. It's when you work in a theater and you run the spotlight.
That's so cute. That's so gay. Love
I
it.
did that when I was a kid.
No, spotlighting is a hunting practice where you hunt in the middle of the night and one person holds the flashlight, and if they catch sight of whatever animal, then the other person has the rifle and they're there
okay.
to shoot. So that's why they left.
So it's just hunting at night.
It's just hunting at night. So they left, but they made it sound cool. You're going spotlighting or
give it
gay.
Yeah. Probably both. Why not both?
Yeah, why not both? Cool and gay. So anyway, their family knew that they had left. The train hit the boys at 4 a.m. So what happened between midnight when they
And
left their
4.
house and 4 a.m.?
Goddamn.
After the families were notified and funerals were held, the state hired
How fast does blood coagulate?
pretty fast because there's no oxygen coming into your body.
Well, I mean,
That's kinda
obviously,
what
4
keeps
hours.
the-
Like that's crazy. I just didn't realize it was that fast.
Well, it
That's
starts-
crazy.
Starts happening when you stop breathing.
Yeah.
That's just nuts.
So like I said, the EMTs noted that the boys were already dead. The train conductors noted boys are already dead. After the families were notified and funerals were held, the state hired their own medical examiner who stated that the boys died because they had smoked so much marijuana they couldn't see or hear the train coming. They said, and this is a particular medical examiner who was actually really funny because he's noted as botching all of these medical examinations during the time. His name was Malik. So anyway, he said that they smoked 20 marijuana cigarettes and fell asleep on the tracks, and then it was just so loopy on marijuana that they didn't hear
amongst
the
us
train
has not smoked 20 marijuana cigarettes
and then
fallen
played
asleep upon the
directly
train tracks?
on train tracks.
That's a Tuesday night for me and my friends.
Yes. Okay. It is also noted that the rifle that the boys were hunting with was also laid on the train tracks with them and was smushed by the train. Okay. The family chose obviously not to go with what this dude was fucking saying, so they hired their own medical examiners. They hired 2 medical examiners to investigate.
That cannot be cheap.
One one of the investigators stated, I mean, they were rich enough. I feel like only rich people have like 16 and 17-year-old sons who they trust to go hunting in the middle of the night. I don't know why that correlation is in my brain, but like to be that carefree about your children, to me,
it's either like you're either super duper rich or crazy poor, and I feel like there's no in between there. You know?
Yeah. We need food.
Yeah, exactly.
Go hunt a deer at midnight. Anyway, so they hired 2 other medical examiners. One stated that one of the boys suffered extreme blunt force trauma. Basically, his head was caved in.
Jesus.
And the other had been stabbed repeatedly. They also stated that the remainders of the boys. So basically, what these medical examiners were able to gather was just the head and the torso of the boys.
God damn.
Right?
Wow.
And they stated that Malik, the state's examiner, had sawed and mangled the rest of their bodies so much that they couldn't do any further examinations of the boys.
So, quick question: what is the race of these 2 boys?
They're white.
Okay, I feel like it's an important question when we're dealing with the criminal justice system.
When people started questioning Malik about his bad medical examination, he said that people were just being racist because he was Egyptian, which I thought was very funny, just because like. Egyptian is one race. I'm not saying that Egyptians don't face broad Middle Eastern hate.
Yeah,
but nobody is specifically
hates
hating
Egyptians. It's they think you're like Saudi or like Afghani or some shit, right?
It's not happening, dude. I'm sorry. So the families of the boys were super outspoken in the community, trying to seek justice for their son. Linda Ives, specifically, the mother of the Ives boy, was like, would literally just like stand in public squares and be like, this medical examiner's fucked up. They're not fucking doing their jobs.
Good on
whatever.
her.
Like just
yelling
at the top of her.
What else is she gonna do? You know.
So the local prosecutor approached. His name was Dan Harmon. He approached.
We don't claim him.
So Dan Harmon approached Linda Ives and basically said, if you stop being mean to us, we'll open up an investigation about the case.
What the fuck?
And
if you just stop running your fucking mouth, we'll look into it.
And was like, hey, we will do, and then promise her we will do whatever in our power to make sure whoever killed your son and the other one's son is brought to justice. Dan Harmon and the police department try to find witnesses, and they actually do find witnesses that were there, right? Keith Conning, one of the first witnesses to come forward, he came forward, told his story. He was another young boy and said he was with boys the night of the murder and was out there by the train tracks. Then a few days later, Keith was killed in a motorcycle accident. According to witnesses, he was run off the road by an unknown car. And according to some, his autopsy revealed that he had his throat slit. But that is allegedly. The throat slitting part.
Okay.
He did die in a motorcycle accident. But allegedly, his throat was slit. And allegedly, he was run off the road by.
Well, how can it be both? He either died because his throat was slit, or he died in a.
I think that they were saying that he did not die in the motorcycle accident, and then one of the people who came to clean up the motorcycle accident, slit his throat.
Okay,
that's crazy.
Gotcha.
Another witness came forward a couple of months later. His name was Keith McCassell. McCassell also claimed to be there the night of the murder. After giving his testimony, he began to flip out and was convinced something was going to happen to him. He gave away all of his possessions and said his goodbyes. He planned his funeral and told his family that he was planning out his funeral because he was going to be dying soon. In November of 1988, he was found stabbed to death, and he was stabbed more than 113 times.
Damn!
In his garage. McCassell's neighbor said he saw 5 men enter McCassell's house with masks and murder him. That neighbor was charged with his murder.
You're fucking kidding me.
I'm not
Just
fucking kidding you.
Just because they said he did it?
Just because he said, hey, 5 people came in, I saw them murder him, and then they charged him with his neighbor's murder.
Sorry, I heard that backwards. I get it now.
Okay. 3 months later, another witness, Greg Collins, had been shot 3 times in the face and died. 3 months after that, after Collins was shot in the face, another witness, Bonnie Bearden, went missing. She was never found. 3 months after that, Jeff Rhodes, another witness, his body, he went missing, and then his body was found in a landfill, burning later on. 3 months after that, a man named Richard Winters came forward and was eventually found in his house decapitated with his head missing. Now, when, this isn't funny, but when Richard Winter dies, the medical examiner that comes to examine him is Malik again, right? So
Dude,
Malik
it was 20 marijuana cigarettes.
Malik comes and
Fell
says,
asleep on top of his knife.
no, it's even better. Malik comes and says that he died from a stomach ulcer, and that his dog ate his whole head.
Including the skull and everything.
Including
Yo,
everything.
I want to be a fly on the wall when this dude walks in. I've seen this a million times before. This guy had a stomach ulcer, and his dog ate his head. Did I do the Egyptian accent right?
You did great.
All right.
You did great. and then later, Winter's head turned up in a trash can.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, the dog was done with it.
Malik said, "Oh, he must have threw it."
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, let's keep going.
How could you be so? Is that the one that's unelected, or is that appointed?
A prosecutor,
No, he's the.
the state examiner.
Yeah.
he is appointed. A state's examiner is
Yeah.
appointed.
But so I'm thinking of the coroner. Coroner's elected.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But to my
But so you don't
knowledge,
need to be qualified for either position, is what you're telling me.
That's what I was
That
gonna
is
say.
true. That is true. That is true.
Clearly, like that's fucked.
So after the first 2 witnesses died, the police shut down the case, which is like suspicious because if your witnesses are dying, you're gonna want to keep this fucking case going. Okay, let's keep going.
You said, Stacy, you said the thing, and you might be right.
It's always what it is.
That is always what it is. Every story on The Good, the Bad, and the Funny results to it was the fucking cops.
Corruption.
The call was coming from inside the house.
No, I'm just saying, like, if, that shit is happening where they're, like, botching the investigation from the beginning.
Yeah.
The police are in on it.
Absolutely. So, so they shut down the case after the first 2 witnesses died. This was after they had convened a grand jury to go over the evidence so far to see if a trial or if the investigation was necessitated, basically. When they shut down the investigation, they ordered the grand jury to never speak about the evidence that they had seen so far, which a lot of them disagreed with the members of the grand jury, saying that people need to know the things that they discovered. But
Yeah.
they record order never to talk about it. In comes Gene Duffy. Gene Duffy was the head of the drug task force in Saline County. On her first day, a superior told her never to use the task force to investigate any public officials. So she was basically like, so you definitely want me. So I'm definitely
That's
going.
what I should be doing,
so I'm
right? Yeah.
Very much going to investigate these people.
Good on her.
So her informants began to tell her that the drug ring in the county was connected to the death of the boys. She finds a witness, and Dan Harmon, because everything has to go up the chain of command. You can't just be a police officer, find a witness, and not put that shit in record and higher ups not find out about it, right? So she finds a witness, she does her report, does the paperwork on it, is about to go and talk to the witness, but Dan Harmon starts a smear campaign about her and basically buys out like a local newspaper. So Dan Harmon, the guy who told the family he's definitely going to look for this, who is responsible for the death of the kids, basically immediately after Gene Duffy finds a witness, he starts just basically smearing her, like a whole smear campaign in various newspapers, and eventually gets her ran out of Arkansas. It like makes her quit her job and gets her ran out of Arkansas.
He's probably the one who did it.
So after
I think Stacy might be right.
listen to the damn story. Good grief. So it's okay that you're making these assumptions because it's like so much worse than that. Okay, so
Wait, so we're talking about the Truman Show, right?
So after this, 5 years later, the family gets the case reopened by an investigator named John Brown. He's the new
That's a great name for an investigator.
Absolutely, he's a new lead investigator in the county. He says when he gets assigned the case, a superior of his tells him he wants to take him on a ride. They ride around for an hour, and he basically says, you need to drop this case. Like, basically, he starts with being like, oh, this case is unsolvable. Like, we've tried and da-da-da. But then towards the end of this hour-long car ride, he basically was like, drop the case. You have to drop the case.
Who's saying this, Dan Harmon?
No, this is just a superior of John Brown's.
Oh.
Brown eventually finds the same witness that Gene Duffy had found. And Dan Harmon comes out and basically threatens Brown and his police force and says if they pursue their lead, that they would all lose their jobs.
I can't believe the creator of Community would do this. That's so fucked up. Abed would be so disappointed.
So Brown goes to look at the evidence that they've gathered so far in the case, right? And he finds that files upon files upon files have just been disappeared, and that the remaining evidence that's there has all been redacted, heavily redacted, just blacked out, right? Okay.
Well, you can still read it if you hold it up to the light.
That's not how redaction works at all. Okay, so we're going to talk about what these witnesses actually told, okay? So Charlene Wilson, she was an ex-drug addict who had been arrested for possession of heroin.
Can't trust her.
Now she'd been arrested by Dan Harmon for possession of heroin, and she says that it was planted on her. But she is an ex-drug addict. She was currently serving time, and she claims to have been in a group of 5 people looking for a drug pickup that ran into 2 boys hunting. For fear of being discovered, the five killed the boys and placed them on the train tracks. She claims the leader of the 5 was Dan Harmon. Brown found so basically, because Dan Harmon had put this lady in jail, although what she's saying is probably true, they can't take this. John Brown can't do anything with this because it's a drug addict who was put in jail by the dude she's accusing. So, like, it's not going to hold water in court.
Do you think
it's not credible?
Do you think it was true, though?
I'm about to tell you that.
Okay.
So then Dan finds another corroborating witness that nobody had found before. Not Dan, Brown.
Right.
Brown finds another corroborating witness that nobody had found before. He found a kid who was 12 years old at the time of the murder, but now 17. So he finds this kid who basically said he was in another group of children who were out at the tracks that night trying to find weed.
Okay.
And they hear that group of 5 coming, so they all kind of the friends all scurry and hide. But this kid stays and like peeks at what's going on. He sees the 5 come across the field, and then he sees the 2 boys see them and like run away. Then he hears Dan Harmon, who he knows is Dan Harmon because his mom had been dating Dan Harmon at this time.
I'm assuming this is a relatively small town.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he sees Dan Harmon tell the boys, you need to get back here right now. Then the boys walk over to them with their rifle. The boy says he looks away to say something to his friend, and when and then he hears a gunshot, like from the rifle that the boys had. He hears a gunshot, and then he sees the boys running away. Oh. Okay, let's talk about the other people.
So fucked up.
So Keith Connors, which was that first witness that came forward, the first boy that said he was out there, he was actually with this second group of boys that were out looking for marijuana. When he came forward with his testimony, he was killed. Keith McCassell, the second dude that came forward that was scared that he was going to die, was with the group of 5 that killed the fucking kid.
Right. This is why we need to legalize weed. I think this is the moral of the story.
This isn't about weed, though.
What is it about?
I'm about to tell you.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So now that we know okay, so then I guess I'll just let it out the story of what actually happened that night.
Is this confirmed actually happened, or is this is what allegedly happened?
This is what allegedly happened, but this is kind of all of these pieces put together.
Sure. So
the 5 were out. They were looking for a drug pickup. Led by Dan Harmon. The Charlene Wilson was there. Keith McCassell was there, and there were clearly 2 other people that were there who we'll discuss here in a second. So they were all there. Then the boys come walking up. They see them, get freaked out, probably because Dan Harmon has been terrorizing people in his community for a long time. They go to run away. Dan tells the boys to come back. There is probably an argument and words. Then the boys, scared, shot at them, at the group of 5, and then they ran away. The other 2 guys that were in this group of 5 chased after the boys. Now let's get back to, because there was like 6 to 7 witnesses that were killed. We know that the 2 witnesses that were killed, one was the boy that was with the other group of boys, one was in the group of 5. Mm-hmm. But the other ones worked at a gas station. The boys ran to a gas station. The 2 other people in the party of 5 drove to that gas station, told the boys to get in the car, beat the shit out of the boys in the car, and then by the time, according to Charlene Wilson, by the time they got back up there to the train tracks, the boys were dead, having been beaten and stabbed to death in the car. And then they placed them on the tracks. Okay. So let's talk about Barry Seal.
Who the fuck is Barry Seal?
Can I just say something first? You know what would have been better than murdering people? Just risking that you might get caught for drugs.
Well, we're going to talk about why that can't be the case.
Okay.
Let's talk about Barry Seal. Barry Seal was an American.
Also a great name.
Barry Seal was a pilot, and he was a pilot.
He sounds like a pilot.
There was a movie Tom Cruise starred in named after that was about him.
Top Gun?
Oh shit!
It's called American Made.
Oh. Tom Cruise was in Top Gun though too, right?
He was. I was thinking of Tom Hanks actually. I was thinking of I'm the captain now, but that's a ship, not a plane.
Jesus. Jesse. I want to do a compilation of you misremembering things on this podcast because it's a lot. It's always like, oh no, I was actually thinking
Gary
about
Coleman
this.
was on.
Okay, so Barry Seal ran drugs from South America to the United States, and he dropped his drugs for his drug ring. He dropped his drugs in Arkansas.
Hell yeah!
Because
they need him the most.
Because
Arkansas sucks.
Because all the officials were in on the operation. Seal died a year before the boys died.
The singer?
But So Seal died a year before the boys died, but his operation did not go away because it was too fucking lucrative.
Yeah.
So Seal had a team of pilots who kept this up, but they would like fly in low, no lights on, over Arkansas, and then drop their packages. And it has been confirmed, actually real deal confirmed, that those train tracks were one of the locations these pilots would drop their cocaine packages. In addendum to this, Dan Harmon was arrested for drug trafficking twice, one in 1996 and one in 2010. So like, I mean,
Wait, when did all of this story occur? What year is that?
it was in 1988.
Okay, so he got arrested for drug trafficking after all
Correct.
this happened.
So he was arrested for drug trafficking twice. Additionally, his compatriot, like his partner that was helping him, like it was like the assistant prosecutor guy that worked directly under Dan Harmon, was a guy named Richard Garrett. Unsolved Mysteries covered the Boys on the Track story back when Dan Harmon was doing that first investigation that they eventually shut down. So Unsolved Mysteries covered the story and told people that if they had any information to call Richard Garrett. Richard Garrett then, allegedly, but the people who called him with information received death threats by phone call. So
First off, okay, I have two comments.
Yeah.
That line was supposed to be anonymous. And second, does allegedly still work if you do air quotes around it?
Yes. So Richard Garrett is also the person that Keith McCassell was told to speak to come forward about his story. And Keith McCassell is the guy that was scared immediately after talking to the police that something bad was going to happen to him. He was talking to Richard Garrett. So the two guys that followed the boys to the gas station, and basically the ones that actually killed the boys, were two guys named Jake Campbell and Kirk Lane. Both of them were police officers. Years after, this is probably in like the early 2000s, the show Obstruction of Justice flat out said that these were the two lead suspects in the death of these boys.
Sure.
Jake Campbell and Kirk Lane were still working as police officers at this time, and then tried to sue the show, right, in civil court for defamation. And they lost the defamation trial because they basically said, you are literally the only two people who could have fucking killed these boys. Okay. Jake Campbell.
Wait, did they go to prison for murder?
No, they can't. It's a civil lawsuit. Like, civilly, we've admitted that the government killed Martin Luther King. Nobody went to jail for that, but civilly, like in civil, court.
Sure.
Wait, I thought John Wilkes Booth went to jail for that.
No, and I won't. And I will not. And I refuse.
Can I?
Absolutely not.
It was a joke.
No.
You were dead on.
No.
It's a joke about me.
Open your third eye. She's right.
Okay. Your third eye. Okay. Jake Campbell eventually went to jail for sex trafficking while he was a police officer, though. So.
Jesus.
This case of the Boys on the Tracks has been opened and closed 9 times. Also, in addendum, this is kind of all just in addendum to just fill in like the holes or any doubt that this fucking conspiracy in Arkansas is what
doubt,
killed
my dude?
These boys.
You painted a pretty crystal clear picture.
But Richard Garrett eventually sold his house. And when he sold his house, the people who bought it discovered a meth lab he was running.
Don't look in the shed.
In his house. And they told police, and police just said, hey, just throw it all away. We'll help you throw everything away. We're almost done here.
Jesus Christ.
The FBI, CIA, and DEA have all run separate investigations, and all of these administrations have come to the basic point that Dan Harmon and his compatriots were responsible for the deaths of these boys. But nobody was ever put in prison. And this is probably why. All of the higher up officials in Arkansas were involved in getting rich off of this drug trafficking ring. And when Charlene does her testimony in jail, she says that the testimony that she gave, the record that she only gave because the police came and basically threatened her and said that she could only name Dan Harmon in this. So, and that Dan Harmon is the only person out of these officials that we know were like running a drug ring in Arkansas. He's the only person that went to prison of the higher up officials. He was probably just the fall guy, and there's larger implications, which is why nobody's actually seen jail for what happened to these boys, because to reveal that, they would have to reveal all the other officials that were involved in it. And the icing on this whole fucking cake is that, remember how I said that all of these papers were heavily redacted? Mm-hmm. So of the about 60,000 files that are of this, like, on this case, only 2,000 have been released to the public, all heavily redacted. Now, look, this is the biggest allegedly of all, but I just want to say, I feel like, and most people who know this story feel like, the reason why this is so heavily censored and redacted, and that although the FBI, CIA, and DEA all looked into this and nobody's willing to point the finger or expose any of the stuff, is because the governor of Arkansas at that time was one Bill fucking Clinton, who is probably implicated in
There's no way in hell
conspiracy.
that was that entire organization allegedly.
Allegedly,
this entire thing is just to fuel Bill Clinton's cocaine habit. I think that man played sax too fucking good to not be on coke.
He didn't really play
He
sax
really
back
did not.
then.
He really didn't.
Dude, that's so crazy. This is such a screwed up world that we live in, that he became president after that happened.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the story of Barry Seal, it is known that this guy ran drugs through Arkansas because the officials were in on his operation. That 8 people died in this story alone, and all of this cover up, and there's no way that you're not that I'm gonna believe this doesn't have shit to do with fucking Bill Clinton. And I'm not even a Clinton conspiracy theorist, but man,
really
it
funny?
lines up too good.
You're really good at that, because just about the time I was like, who was the governor? Who was the governor of our? You were like, Bill Clinton.
I'm sorry, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist of any sort to know that Bill Clinton was a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Fair.
but I'm saying that, so there's a lot of people that make false accusations about the Clintons, and I don't ever want to be in the camp with those fucking crazies.
Right, because they've done enough bad things of their own.
Of their own fucking But this one, it's like nah. They did that shit. They at least had a know. They knew
turned,
of
at
that
the very
shit.
least, turned a blind eye.
Yeah,
right?
at the very least. So
You know what's crazy? I've definitely listened to a podcast
Allegedly.
where they dissected this entire story, and I don't remember Bill Clinton being involved.
because most people, I don't think a lot of people put Bill Clinton in it, because it's like 6 degrees of separation. Like, it's just so far removed. But he was the governor, and we do know higher up officials, public officials, were involved in this ring. Like, I can't say for certain, hey, Bill Clinton actually had something to do with this.
He run for president?
It was 92, correct?
So he would have probably been, at the very least, like, cooking up his campaign.
Correct.
Right.
Well, I mean, so this stuff happened, and the boys died in, I want to say it was like 87.
So at the very least, he had presidential aspirations.
At the very least, he had presidential aspirations. At the very least. So that's my story.
Wow.
This is why I could never be in politics. I'm not shady enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why.
I wasn't being sarcastic. I was being accurate. You're not. I couldn't do it either. I'm too fucking on. Like, there's no fucking way.
I could do it.
Yeah, all right.
You put me in a position of power. Right now, I will hand deliver you 2 dead kids on a train track and a kilo of cocaine.
It's like you killed 8
do
people
too.
though. Like, that's how I feel. That's how I know that the shit, like, it stunk from the highest
For
order.
sure. For sure.
And I also found it very interesting that Dan Harmon put Charlene in jail clearly to break her credibility.
Allegedly.
But also he kind of fucked up when he put her in jail because he couldn't then kill her. So that's why he had to, he kind of fucking told on himself because he kept going after the people who was found out about Charlene and but he couldn't kill her because he had already put her in jail. Wild.
Crazy. That's that was kind of depressing.
Yeah, it was a bad story, man.
We have to stop doing so many stories about our broken political injustice.
What other stories are there?
That's
I feel
fair.
like everything leads back
to either have white supremacy, capitalism, or
corruption all around. It's Stacy. Stacy's the one who's saving this podcast from being political.
But apparently her story this week is also pretty spicy. Stacy Stark, why don't you spin us a yarn?
I will in a minute. I have to pee, but I just want to say.
Damn, your bowels are going
I also
wild
have to,
today.
Bowels? That's not where pee comes from. Pee is stored in the balls, not the
My
bowels.
pee comes from. Speak for yourself.
Although yesterday I took a shit and then I also peed, but I was not expecting to pee, and I was like, God, I hope that is pee. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't really tell where it was coming from.
All right. Well, you've been listening to The Good, the Bad, the Funny.
Anyway, I had a hard time again this week because I had the good, and I don't want to give anything away, but that's what it was, and I found a story that I was like, whoa, this is pretty good, but then the more I learned, the worse it got.
Yeah.
So
That was how I was with the Killdozer story.
Yeah, most of my stories that, especially for the funny, I'll pull the funny and be like, oh, this will be a great story, and then it's just terrible.
I'm only going to mostly focus on the good things, but maybe at a later time, or if one of you guys is inspired, there's a lot of bad as well.
That could be really interesting, actually.
Oh yeah, if we did an addendum to your story.
Or just the same story from a different perspective.
Yeah.
All right. This week, my white woman.
Not this again.
Is Lucille Ball.
Oh, love Lucille
I'm into this
Ball.
All right. So she was born in Jamestown, New York. Her dad died of typhoid fever when she was 3. And she said that she remembers that day. She said she was giving her mom grief, and she was her mom was crying, and she didn't really understand, why her mom was crying. And a picture fell off the wall, and a bird flew in the window. And ever since then, she's been superstitious about birds because that's right when her dad died.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He just became the bird. His soul was escaping.
That's possible. Her mom eventually got remarried, and
rude.
Yeah. She asked the guy. She was like, "Are you gonna be my new daddy?" And he said, "You can call me Ed."
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's pretty shitty. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to be marrying some kid's mom, you should be wanting to be a part of the family. Anyway, she saw a vaudeville act when she was a kid, and she was like, oh man, I want to do that. And her grandpa basically was like, nah, you shouldn't want to do a vaudeville act. You should want to just be an actress. And he was like, there's this monologist that you should go see. And
what does that mean?
it was a performer back in the day where they just did monologues.
Oh, because I thought it was a guy to teach you how to be a man.
She did go and see the monologist, and she was like, oh man, everyone laughed and cried, and there were times where you could hear a pin drop. It was so great. And so then she was like, whoa, cool, Yeah.
Ooh, there's a child coming down the stairs. Which one is it?
Huey.
Hey, come here.
I could tell it was you.
Hey, do you want to tell us a story for the podcast? Do you have a good story you can tell us?
Or a fun fact?
Oh, yeah, can you tell us a fun fact?
People don't know how Napoleon died.
How did Napoleon die? I don't know how Napoleon died.
That was the fact.
Do
Wait, can you
know?
elaborate?
No, I actually prefer it if he doesn't.
Theorized that it was the arsenic on his bed,
Oh, shit.
near his bedroom walls.
It's kind of like people who made hats used to deal with a lot of arsenic, and that's why they went crazy. That's where the term "mad as a hatter" comes from.
Are there other theories? Does anyone theorize foul play, that he was killed?
Not as I know of. Just stumbled on to that fact.
All right, I'll keep it in my pocket. Thank you.
Well, that's been it for Huey's Fast Facts. Tune in next week for more Huey's Fast Facts.
All right, should I get back to my story?
I guess.
So now, at this point, she's a teenager. Let's say 13, 14 maybe. And
Are we still talking about Paris Hilton?
Stop.
We are talking about Lucille Ball.
Thank you.
And his name was Johnny. I did not care enough to write down his last name. I don't remember it.
Carson?
No,
Be good.
He wasn't famous, but other than dating Lucille Ball as a teenager. But
We're going to have one claim to fame.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be mad if it was being married to Lucille
Yeah,
Ball.
not married, dating.
Dating,
they
still.
were children. Anyway, he and
It was
his
a different
dad. This was the Prohibition
No,
era.
children can't marry children. Children can marry adults. What are you
that's
talking
right.
about? Sorry.
This was the Prohibition era, and he and his dad were bootleg liquor salesmen.
Fuck yeah.
So she had this bad boy boyfriend.
Love that for her.
Yeah. And the only thing that she was more passionate about than Johnny was wanting to be an actress.
That's such an on-the-nose bad boy boyfriend name.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is
Johnny.
honestly
What else would
one
it
of
be
the
named?
just most stereotypical stories across the board. She's in love with this bad boy named Johnny, but she
Yeah.
also wants to be an actress.
Yeah.
I'd watch that movie.
I would too.
And so she asked her mom if she could go to this acting school in New York City. And at this point, she was 15. And her mom was like, yeah, totally, because it'll get you away from this Johnny character.
That's right.
And so she went to this school.
Now I got to choose between Johnny and my dreams. And a 1 and a 2. And a 3.
She went to this acting school, and who was there but none other than Betty Davis.
Oh, nice.
And
Who's Betty Davis?
What?
Who was that?
She was just a famous actress. There's tons of songs about and shit.
She was hot or something, right?
She had Betty Davis eyes.
I think those were that's
That's
about her
creepy.
tits.
No, I think that it was about her eyes.
Betty Davis. I think I know who that is, but I can't.
I think she was on the cover of Playboy at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
This lady is not attractive, so.
Did you look her up?
Oh, yeah.
We're
right
also
now.
talking early Playboy.
This is the 1920s, 1930s.
So
Yeah,
everyone was ugly? What are you telling me?
Yeah, pretty much. That's why, someone like Marilyn Monroe, who honestly kind of mid, was regarded as this earth-shattering beauty. You know?
Are you looking at pictures of an old woman, Lynette?
No. No.
Look up Betty Davis.
Betty
Playboy.
Davis looks like a bug.
Look
She looks
up Betty
pretty
Davis
right there.
Playboy. Look up Betty Davis Playboy.
eyes, bug eyes. Duh. I'm gonna
That's
look up
not
a picture.
attractive. This lady looks like she is very cute in some.
Oh
in
yeah,
some
I see.
pictures,
I see what you're saying.
but
She's all eyes.
She's all eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Gosh,
What movies was she in?
I had a totally different idea in my head of what she looked like.
Me too. And yeah, no.
It's she's got eyes, but the rest of her face isn't doing her any favors.
But I know movies that she was in. I want to, I know I've seen this bitch in movies. I watched Turner's Classic.
She's definitely got a weird droopy face.
I was thinking of a different Betty Davis.
It's very elongated.
Like a horse?
Not really like a horse.
No, she looks like an insect.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
But anyway, people weren't very attractive back then.
It's true.
So she was pretty good looking out of all of them.
Like, people talk about how hot Jackie O was.
That bitch looks like she bites,
Busted.
dude. Oh.
And not in a sexy way, like in a feral way.
Yeah. Yeah, like she eats crayons, dog. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait, who?
Jackie O.
Oh yeah, she definitely looks like E.T. for sure.
And she was in a movie with, it looks like Rhett Butler. That's not his name, but he plays Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind.
God. Clark Gable?
Yeah.
This isn't important. Can I get on with my story?
Yeah, I just had to remember
Jeez,
Clark Gable real quick. Damn.
All right. Anyway, so she was going to this school with Betty Davis, and she was very intimidated by her.
What does that mean? Sorry.
What? What does what mean?
One of Betty Davis's movies is The Bride Came COD. I just want to know what that means.
The Bride Came COD?
Yeah.
Cause of death?
The Bride Came Cause of Death.
The
Bride Came Call of Duty.
Modern Warfare 2.
I want to go with that. That's fine.
All right.
Anyway, so she was super intimidated by Betty Davis.
Crazy.
It is crazy because she's like way hotter than her.
She's like like beautiful and hilarious.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting sent home because they didn't think she had what it takes.
That's how you know you have what it takes, you know?
Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
But it was because of Betty Davis where she just would like clam up and be like, I can't do anything.
Yeah,
that
I
this
get that too.
girl can do.
Yeah, but baby, you could do so much more.
And she did.
Is it whenever you're thinking about me in comparison to you as a stand-up that you just like...
Like, oh!
And she did do so much more because you guys didn't really know who Betty Davis was, but you knew who Lucille Ball was.
Fuck yeah, I know who Lucille Ball is.
All right. So anyway,
Betty Davis wouldn't stuff enough chocolates in her face to vomit.
Nah.
Lucille Ball would.
If Lucille Ball was on Playboy, I'd have snatched that shit up. Was she ever on the cover of Playboy?
No, I don't think so.
can you stop being a womanizer, Jesse?
No, I can't. It's in my DNA.
It's not.
I'm not even the worst womanizer in this room right now. I just want to point that out.
I just want to bring up that Betty Davis was not like in Playboy so much as Betty Davis was interviewed by Playboy a lot.
I think I was thinking of a different Betty Davis. There was a Betty Davis who was on the cover of Playboy in 1980 something.
1982. That's so weird. Ew. That's so gross, Jesse.
Did I knew that?
Wait, she was in Playboy?
different
No,
Betty
not
Davis.
that Betty Davis.
Oh, different one?
I feel like you don't get to be Betty Davis. Like, I don't know. Because, I mean, she clearly chose that name for herself, right? You know, the Playboy lady. And it's like, you don't get to do that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe her parents were really into like shitty vaudeville comedians or some shit. I'm sitting here talking mad shit about Betty Davis. I don't know goddamn thing about her.
She just looks like a bug, dude. That's it.
Stacey,
She looks
continue
like
your
a
story.
goddamn
I'm sorry.
bug.
She probably did have a different name. I didn't write down people's like alternative names for this because it's like whatever. You know what I mean?
You're gonna know them. You're gonna know them by their
Yeah.
name.
By their stage
That's
name.
the second time
Yeah.
I've said that this podcast.
What a fucking pretentious cunt.
You know what? Suck my cock.
Ew.
Anyway, so she got sent home. She got back together with Johnny. And
Good for Johnny. Everything's coming up, Johnny.
God damn it! I get to leave the razor sharks.
And to what? And to and.
But like over the next few years, between like 15 and like 21, she was back and forth from Jamestown to NYC like a lot because she was still trying to like get gigs and like get work in New York, and like sometimes Johnny would like drive her up there, and
Like a good shitty boyfriend.
And at one point, he even like paid for an apartment for her.
Oh, wow. All right, I
Yeah.
take back everything I
With
said
his
about Johnny.
bootlegged money. Good for Johnny, a leader of the proletariat or
He's
whatever.
breaking the law so his woman could be a star, and that's fucking beautiful.
That is beautiful. We love that.
Yeah. She was also friends with gangsters when she was in New York, and she was
Proper
also
comedian.
And I use this term loosely. She was an escort. No one knows if she did anything besides being company at dinner.
Come on.
I mean, she probably just was company at dinner, though.
But it paid $100 a gig.
Yeah, she was just company at dinner.
This is $100 a gig in 1875.
This
Yeah,
is
that was a
this is
lot of
also
money.
1875, where it didn't really. It like I don't think that okay. In my this is my I'm just wildly theorizing here, but like to pay someone to be company at dinner, in my opinion, the only people that would do that would be somebody whose actual interests were not of the like not thin white women, so they needed arm candy. So she's probably going out with
she's like a hire. She's a
gay
beard
dudes.
for hire.
Yeah,
For hire is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay. I guess that's yeah.
or
it
like
could
people
be.
who were dating black people, or like whatever that wasn't that were in high society, but it wasn't
For sure.
seen as appropriate.
All right. At one point, when she was in New York or New York City and trying to get gigs, she got very, very sick with pneumonia and developed rheumatoid arthritis.
Gang.
And she said she was very lucky because she was so poor, she was able to see a doctor that was like very experimental, and they used her as a guinea pig. And they used horse urine, and she got better. But she was on bed rest.
Oh my God, is that what ibuprofen's made of?
Maybe.
Is that a leaf?
They
Is a
still-
leaf horse urine?
They still use horse urine in medications today.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But she was like, she had to go home, and she was on bed rest for like 2 years.
Jesus.
God damn.
Yeah. But then she starred in a play at the Chautauqua Institute, which was near Jamestown, her hometown. And she got small town famous. All right. So then she started like modeling. And she did a picture with some dogs.
Ooh.
And Chesterfield Cigarettes was like, whoa.
Honestly, it fits. It fits. I don't know what Chesterfield's whole brand was, but when I think Chesterfield, I think Lucille Ball for sure.
I could go for a Chesterfield brand
Right
cigarette
now.
actually.
But yeah, they ended up using her as their cigarette girl. Anyway, she got employed. I guess it was like through them or by them to go to Hollywood, where she would be a showgirl, a Goldwyn girl.
Oh.
Yeah. And I didn't write this down, and I wish that I had. But it was for some movie. Oh, it was something candles, like Roman it was
16 candles?
no, it was
Did you say Roman candles?
Roman Scandals.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I quit. I quit this fucking podcast.
Yeah, she was like a showgirl for the movie or show, like musical show Roman Scandal.
I'm sorry. It was so funny.
It is.
Something candles. Roman
Anyway.
candles. Roman scandal.
I hate you so much.
Well, because when I heard it, I was like, I'll remember it that way. 'Cause I was like driving. You know
I
what
see.
I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so she went to Hollywood to do Roman scandals when she was 21. She was 21 at this point.
I love that out of context. Like she went to Hollywood to do Roman scandals, as if she herself was partaking
perpetuating
in
the
Roman
scandals.
scandals.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite
Part of propaganda,
understand
too.
what was going on at this point, but like they would like show off like the showgirls, and like when it was her turn to like step forward as a gag, she would do things like she would put like red dots all over herself to make it look like she had like
Infection.
like some disease as
Hilarious.
a joke, and then she would like blacken her teeth like to be funny.
That's cute.
Classic.
I bet. Yeah.
I wonder
I'm
how much.
thinking
I know
about-
the blackened teeth bit definitely made it into the show. I wonder how many more of those.
Well,
bits
and I'm
kind of-
thinking about like an old timey, like a silent, goofy kind of movies
Sure,
and stuff,
yeah.
and it's just
Like
like her, just
Chaplin-esque.
like girl coming out, and then her like, wow, look
Yeah.
at my black teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the guy that was like hosting, he would be like, "Ooh, girl, you funny,"
Right, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like as they said, like anytime that they needed a volunteer for anything, she'd be like, "Hell yeah, I'll do it." And one time they needed someone to put mud on their face, and one of the other girls said that like if she did that, then no one could see her face and they wouldn't know who she was. And she was like, "Bitch, no one knows who I am already."
I'll do blackface. Let's go.
That's not like what it was, but I understand. Anyway. She ended up getting a 7-year contract with Columbia Pictures.
Just for a little bit of blackface?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
A little mud face.
It was like getting a mud pie to the face.
Are you worried that we're defaming the great name of Lucille Ball by pretending she did blackface?
I mean,
I assume that she at some point did do blackface.
Yeah, because everyone did blackface.
It was just what we did at the time, you know?
I mean, I already have blackface. I wasn't doing it.
I've seen you wash it off.
There was so many things that she did and so much information about her. If she did blackface, I did not get to the point where I learned about it.
Well, that's because they don't tell you because everybody. It's a
It's
suit.
just taken for granted, yeah.
Okay. So anyway,
She put that down really hard. She's mad.
She's getting belligerent.
I am belligerent now. No, I'm drunk now. But I'm having a good time, which is great. Is that what that means? Is that what that word means?
Belligerent? Yeah, belligerent means having a good time.
I can't, I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to lose my spot, but I want to look up what that word means.
It means like angry,
Oh, I'm not angry.
like aggressive. Not really aggressive, but like
Just a lot.
you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Do I seem angry to you right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit.
it's all in the head movements, honestly.
All right,
See, I did that on purpose. Anyway.
Bruce Banner looking ass.
It's the Hulk when he's not hulking,
Oh.
but he's speaking from like I guess a particular movie.
I was just talking
Because-
about the unbridled rage that's pent up inside of
well, I was
Stacey.
thinking about Edward Norton.
I mean, yeah, actually, now that you bring it up, the Bruce Banner looking ass.
Okay.
Anyway, so she got a 7-year contract with Columbia Pictures. And so she started fixing up a house so that she could move her family to California with her because they had
That's
all been
nice.
separated. And
Yeah.
the night that she told her family that the house was ready and that they should come out to California,
They all died.
she got fired.
Oh.
Because they found out about the blackface.
No, something happened in the company and they had to like fire all of their contract workers for some reason.
They didn't have to do that.
No.
And also that same night she had a date. And I guess this guy like worked in the film industry as well. And when she went on her date, she was crying, and the dude was like, "Yo, what's up?" And she was like,
just like that.
"Yeah." And she was like, "I just got fired." And he was like, "Well, there's a showgirl audition down the street. Let's go do that."
Right now.
And she was like, "I don't want to be a showgirl anymore. I've been doing that, and that's not what I want to do."
Where's Johnny? He wouldn't treat me like this.
But he was like, "Well, you want to work, don't you?" And she was
That's a
like,
good point.
"Yeah, I do." And so then they went to the audition, and she started working as a showgirl for RKO Productions,
Interesting.
which is the same productions that made the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Correct.
Which I'm just saying that out of my own memory. Following in her career, she had small parts in like 75 different movies.
God damn.
Yeah, she was willing to do literally any kind of a role. She did some romantic, some musical comedy. Yeah, so she became a star in the minor leagues, and she got the nickname Queen of B Pictures because she was in not,
Yeah.
The B pictures instead of like the A pictures.
Right, exactly. So she met Desi Arnaz
Yay.
in a movie called Too Many Girls.
What am I going to do with all these girls? This is far too many girls.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the movie was about. They were both in relationships at the time when they met, and Lucy was engaged to someone. The very next day after she met Desi, she broke off her engagement.
Oh, wow.
And Desi
you know,
was
you
also in a relationship with a girl who he called Freckles. He just cheated on her with Lucy.
Too many girls.
Eventually, they got married. They were the first public interracial couple.
Yep.
Why do you say yep like that?
Because I knew that.
Well, good for you. I just learned that.
Jesus. It's getting so aggressive. I'm sorry you don't keep up with famous interracial couples. I received the magazine monthly.
Desi Arnaz was a Cuban man, and he was the leader of a Cuban band in America.
Cuban man and a Cuban band.
Yeah.
And he was like traveling around the country, but she wanted to get him off the road because he was, quote, slipping from his marriage vows.
Oh. People like to fuck, dude. It's like people like to fuck.
You know what? I just have to say right now, I have like a lot of interest in and respect for their relationship because like it was more than just like, oh, you're cheating on me, blah blah blah, I hate you. Like, she got a lot from their relationship, from like being around him and his personality and everything.
Yeah, because like he was an entertainer, she was an entertainer. I'm sure like they fed each other
And I bet that they did bits on bits on bits. Like,
oh yeah,
I think it's kind of obvious in the show that like whatever their home life was probably very fun.
yeah.
And and they really did love each other.
Yeah.
But he just had some issues. Plus, he wasn't there all the time. She kind of got too old. This is, I guess, when she's like in her 30s now.
Do you mean when she was at her hottest?
Felt.
Right. She kind of got too old to like.
You're also at your hottest right now. I just want to put that out there. You're beautiful. I love you.
I love you too, Jesse.
Stacy,
Yeah.
get it together.
Oh. Wait. Anyway, she was getting older, so now she has a face for radio.
Yeah.
So she starts doing a radio show called My Favorite Husband.
Oh God, I hate that.
I love it.
I hope it's just like like 10 couples into a room and then she just
She's like, you're a bad husband. You're a great husband. You're my favorite husband.
No, it's just a radio show where she's all like, stop leaving your socks on the floor. And he's like, but that's where I can find them. You know, that's basically what the show is.
Yeah.
So then radio started getting snuffed out by television.
It killed the radio star, I heard.
TV killed the radio star.
Yep,
That's a song.
that was the reference she was making.
It was.
Yeah, that's a good song. I liked it.
I love that song.
It was on the Vice City soundtrack, one of the bangingest video game soundtracks ever made.
I know that song because it is the song from the end credits of The Wedding Singer.
Okay, good for you. We know it from Grand Theft Auto.
Anyway, nobody wanted to actually be on television. Television was where people went when they couldn't be in movies anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So CBS approached Lucille Ball saying they wanted to make a show based off of My Favorite Husband, her radio show.
Was Desi also on My Favorite Husband?
Let's get there in a minute.
Oh. Okay.
They wanted
So angry.
to have Richard Denning as her co-star. And she said, yes, but only if Desi can play my co-star and not Richard Denning. Richard Denning.
She said yes, but no.
Yeah, Richard Denning was her co-star on the
She
on the radio show.
she said yes, but not like that.
Yeah. And that was
But
a
she's
huge
making
risk.
sure the homies get paid, and we love that.
I think she's just making sure her husband stays directly next to her.
Not on
That's
tour.
exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, I
is
see
what she's
it.
doing.
See the way. So okay, the way that I'm reading this behavior is like, ouchie, that's a bit problematic, and probably don't. You know, if your man don't want to stay, don't make him stay. But the way Stacey's reading this is like exactly
As
you
she should.
But yeah, so then they were like, well, we need you more than we need Richard Denning. So
Yeah, because who the fuck even is that guy? I'm gonna look him up.
Exactly. No, he
That was
does so
her-
much blackface. Don't do it.
that was her co-star on My Favorite Husband, the radio show.
Oh, Richard Denning was her co-star.
Oh, that Richard Denning.
Yeah, so they were like, we want both of you, but then she was like, no, not him. I want my actual husband. And
Oh God.
yeah, because
okay.
I put in my notes here because she wanted to get him off the road because they never got to see each other. But CBS was like, meh, I don't know about that. So then she and Desi did a vaudeville show together to make their case
Aw.
because CBS hated Desi.
Because he was brown.
They were like, what? The Cuban bongo player? And then their vaudeville show went real good. And so then they were like, yeah, okay, I guess he can be your husband. The next morning after the pilot episode of I Love Lucy aired, people would say, did you see the show last night? Not, did you see I Love Lucy? Because everyone already knew what show they were talking about.
Oh.
It says when she starts playing Lucy, she finally finds her character identity. Before that, she didn't really find any roles that would like fulfill like her full potential as an entertainer.
Yeah. I don't think that those roles really existed because she's such a physical, like, does a lot of physical comedy and, you know, annoying for the sake of, like, who the fuck was casting for that,
Yeah,
for
she
that
was
back
like,
then?
she was like a proto troll. Like, she was annoying because being annoying was fucking funny. She was also like, she was great in musical numbers too. Like, she just did. She was such a
Everything.
multifaceted
Yeah,
talent. You know?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, there's no way she was going to find anything that actually, like,
Yeah, it
Inculc-
felt
like,
creatively fulfilling or like
encaptured her
it
entire-
utilized everything she was capable of for sure.
Going off of what you guys said, I did not put this in my notes, but Fran Drescher said that
We stand Fran Drescher here at the podcast too. I
Absolutely,
absolutely fucking love that
110%.
woman. The Nanny is also one of my favorite sitcoms of all time.
but she took direct inspiration.
sorry,
Yeah.
well, she said that when Lucy danced with this guy, whoever was on the show, she said that was like when she realized that like she was not only funny, but she was also like beautiful and elegant and like committed to the role and like very passionate. And Fran Drescher was like, that's when I realized that I also wanted to be an
And
actor.
like she is such a spiritual, you know, successor to Fran Dresser.
100%.
It is like being annoying for
But
the
also sexy
but also
and
sexy,
hilarious.
put together, both of them dressed to the motherfucking nines, like all the time, like
She was very involved with the writing of the show. Like, whatever the writers came up with, she would, like, yes and everything. Like,
Love
she
that.
would go off of it and be like, okay, yeah, but, like, what if also this happens?
Hell yeah.
And she made...
Did you just explain yes and?
She also made ridiculous things seem almost possible on her show. Before Lucy, beautiful women were not really allowed to be funny. It was just guys and women who the guys did not find threatening.
Sure.
Meaning not beautiful
Yeah,
women.
plain.
Also, the actor who played Fred Mertz was just himself in IRL.
I love that so much because he's kind of a piece of shit in the show.
Yeah.
Such a curmudgeon and
I
just
love
like
that for sure.
such a naysayer.
Kind of like who I've strived to be as an adult, honestly.
Same. I
Say
say nay all the time.
Yeah.
Nay.
Fuck you.
Nay.
he was basically he was typecast to play
Love that. That's
himself.
the dream right
That's
there is to
good.
be typecast.
It really is.
Yeah.
Ethel, however, did not want to be married to Fred.
Absolutely not.
She wanted to be more glamorous and have a younger, better-looking husband.
I get that.
Don't we all?
I think it worked though so perfectly for the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I don't think the dynamic would be, especially because Lucy's like so, like eccentric and head in the clouds. Like we can make all our dreams come true, and Ethel is like the loving, loyal friend who is like,
she's the yes man.
Hey,
she's just gonna
let's
go along with whatever.
We can do this, but we got to rein it in a
Yeah.
little bit. Like, or let's help you clean up your mess that you fucking made. Like, the dynamic is, I don't think it would have worked if she was more glamorous with like a younger
Yeah, definitely
husband.
not. She had to be more grounded in comparison to Lucy,
absolutely.
Desi actually became a producer on the show, and he would push to do things that haven't been done before. If people said they couldn't do something, he'd be like, why not? And they would say, because it's never been done before. And he'd be like, well, we'll be the first to do it. This came into play, especially when Lucy, in real life, became pregnant.
Oh, yes, that's right, because they had never had a pregnant woman on TV before, right?
Mm-hmm. At this time in situational comedy, married couples slept in separate twin beds.
That's right, yeah. Dick Van Dyke.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That was, okay.
It's new, but they also showed it in there where Midge Maisel's parents, they had twin beds and they would have to push them together. It was very cute.
My parents slept in...
That's me.
It's because they hated each other.
Yeah. I was like, that's.
And if they had kids, you had to believe that it was immaculate conception.
Yes.
No one was allowed to say the word pregnant on TV.
Because they couldn't pronounce it. It's too tricky.
They
Pregnant.
Pregnant. Pregante.
Ego.
Pregant.
Pregnant. They had to say they were expecting. It was common practice that when an actress got pregnant in real life, she would be fired.
Yeah. And that didn't even, like, what's weird about that shit didn't even go away.
No, it still happens.
Like, I mean, it doesn't really happen unless, like, a lot, but it's still, like, it was still happening during, like, The Cosby Show,
Yeah.
which was in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So they played around with the idea of, like, oh, maybe she can, like, sit behind a table or whatever. But Lucy and Desi were like, no. What if Lucy's pregnant in the
It's
show.
very funny too. Like, think about, like, I remember those episodes. Like, she is very clearly pregnant. She is super duper fucking pregnant. There's no way you're gonna be able to hide that shit.
But I mean, they do it. Like, they do it today. Like, they just frame them like big bags.
That is true.
All right. So then they do an episode where she knows that she's pregnant, but Desi doesn't know. And Desi's like singing to a ballroom full of people because in the show he's a musician. And he gets an anonymous request to sing a song called, I think it's called We're Having a Baby, My Baby and Me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes around singing to all of the different couples in the ballroom.
It's such a cute episode.
Yeah,
like,
I do know this scene.
it's so cute. Okay.
And he kind of, like, he acknowledges Lucy, and then he, like, moves on to, like, the next couple. But then he's like, oh, wait, shit. And then he looks back at Lucy, and she was like, yeah, it's me. And he's like, oh, my God, I'm going to be a father.
That's so cute.
It was such a cute fucking episode, dude.
And he says, it's me. I'm going to be a father. I want you to meet my mother. I mean, my wife. So it's funny as a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
We've also seen it, the show.
It's like an iconic
Yeah.
TV moment.
Can I just say, as the person who's doing this story,
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with the show.
That tracks.
Yeah. No, that makes sense for you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. She was 42.
And still smoking hot.
She was 42
Absolutely.
years old when she was pregnant with her first child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's because she had arthritis.
That made her hot, or that she had her first
All
child?
of it.
All of it, yeah. It's the pain that makes her sexy.
It's the pain that makes it take longer for you to have a kid.
That too.
It's like, owie, 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 you know.
And she ended up in real life having her baby the same day that the episode was aired in which she had her baby.
Aw.
Mm-hmm. And then Dwight...
I actually don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I was
think
gonna say that
might
sounds
be, like,
made
that
up.
sounds like something that CBS made up for sure.
Yeah.
I saw it in a documentary. Dwight...
People don't
Produced
lie.
by CBS.
I don't know. If our listeners want to know, they can do a deep dive.
Isn't that our job?
I'm doing my best here.
All right, fair enough. I can't argue with that.
As I said, there's a lot. Dwight D. Eisenhower
Oh, that's where he comes
Oh,
in.
hey.
Come on, big boy.
got
Friend of the show.
inaugurated. And the very next day, Lucy's baby story was from Page News.
Fuck you. Dwight D.
I did know that. And
Fuck
I fucking
you.
love that.
All right, this dude in the documentary that I watched about her, he said she was less of a feminist and more an argument for why we needed feminists.
That is the stupidest fucking
Yeah.
thing I've ever heard.
Did a man say that?
A man.
Yeah, man
Yeah.
absolutely said that.
Um,
An argument for why we... Shut up. Fuck.
You know, if we had
fuck
feminism,
up.
she wouldn't need to be so uppity.
he also said on her show, she was an example for how much energy was wasted by putting women in a kitchen rather than doing something more interesting and productive.
I don't see it. I don't like any of these comments. Because it's like, yeah, I guess I get what he's trying to say, but it's also like, I don't know if acts of service and feeding your family is necessarily wasted energy. Like,
I think they were so, like, the argument of, like, traditional women's work is still, like, labor and should be seen as such is so far beyond where these people are at, though.
Yeah, but this was a guy on a documentary recently.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, like, what the fuck are you saying?
That's a true.
I understand what he's saying in that we didn't let a lot of women shine or reach their full capabilities because of these gender norms that we set out. But even if you speak to like male entertainers or female entertainers, they'll be like, you know, my mom was the funniest person. Like the person that I got inspiration from was this person that like, so it's like, can we quantify the output of people that way? She never reached her full potential because she was a homemaker. But it's like, okay, but her son became like a fucking world-class physicist. And some of that had to do with her
the
being
home
in
the home she made.
So I don't know. I find that to be kind of gross.
It's definitely super reductive for sure.
Yes. Short-sighted and icky. I don't like it.
Okay. I don't know what's happening here. Because I feel like what you were saying was because X-woman was a housewife and raised her son right, he became a doctor. That's what I felt like you said.
That's not what. Well, I think you may have only heard a second of what I said because that's not what I said. I'm saying that the guy's argument, it seems a bit reductive because we are undervaluing like what women do within the household. That's it.
Like he's like undervaluing the labor that women do as homemakers,
and like that shit's important too.
Like super important. It keeps people fed. It keeps people in sanitary environments. It keeps children like cared for
and so intelligent.
Yeah.
Like who do you think is working on the schoolwork with the kids? Yes, I don't like that we gave women that role and told them they couldn't do anything else. But I just think the way that guy said what he said was reductive to the, you know, what women actually offered during that time.
I don't know. Personally, I just took it as like at that time we didn't really have people fighting as much for women's rights, and what Lucy did was like showing that women were capable of more.
Right. I agree that that's what he was trying to say. I'm saying the way that he said it was reductive. It's fine.
All right.
Continue.
It is fine, and I will continue. So eventually, Lucy and Desi owned the production company that created I Love Lucy. And it was like a whole lot of like studios. And they named it Desi
like
Lou.
a lot of studios, not a lot of studios.
It was like a lot.
It was
one
like
studio that was a lot.
There were several studios on one lot.
Yes,
Gotcha.
I got it now.
It's a big deal. It was Hollywood.
I didn't say.
Whatever.
We were laughing at the wordplay there.
Yeah, that was just a wordplay thing.
I get
Stacey
it.
don't drop bars. She don't get it.
I do get it.
She'll never write an ass and titties.
Her rap game is weak, dog.
Anyway. They named it Desi Lou Productions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
such
we
a
were
cute
there.
name.
We were there.
It is a cute name. It's a good name.
They were the first Brad. What was?
Brangelina.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
It's exactly like that, except for like more successful together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then rumors started getting around that Lucy was a communist.
Yeah.
Based.
Good.
And the reason that people thought that
Is because her husband was Cuban.
Exactly.
No. That's actually not why.
Oh, I'm shocked.
It's because she was a communist?
It's because her grandfather, his entire life had been a socialist,
Based.
and he wanted his family to register as a communist.
But Eisenhower was president, right?
We'll get there. Wait, I already got there.
Yeah, but this was
was-
during like McCarthyism.
Yeah.
He was I already said that, didn't
Yeah.
I? He was president.
Yeah. Vincent Price also went through this. It's really fucking sad
Like,
what they
I
did to
think
these
that,
people.
like, so many people went through that. That's so stupid. And like, for what? What did you get out of this?
Nothing.
Government? Nothing. Fucking nothing.
In reality, Lucy didn't really care at all about politics.
No, she was probably like liberal for the time, right? But like that was about it.
I don't think she was even liberal for the time.
I
She
just
was
think she just didn't give a fuck. She only cared about her acting career. She registered as a communist because her grandpa wanted her to.
We'll take it.
crazy.
And she didn't vote except for in the primaries because she didn't have time to bother with anything else.
Well, that's pretty much par for the course for most of America.
That's par for the course for me. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my story.
I don't think it's going to end.
It'll end. It'll end. Trust me. She dies. She dies.
Are we
Spoilers.
going the entire distance to death?
It's not that far.
Okay.
Anyway,
Right around the corner.
Away?
so
Okay.
when people were all like, "Oh my god, she's a communist," she was scared to go out and perform in front of a live studio audience because it was a situational comedy performed in front of a live studio audience.
That's the third time she said it.
Yeah, I know.
I think it was the second. I said it 2 times. So then Desi went out and gave a speech, and he was like, "Yo, she's definitely not a communist."
Because I am.
Never mind.
Viva la Cuba!
No, and he said, "I was kicked out of my own country because of communism." And then that helped dissuade the rumors, apparently. So Lucy and Desi were presented to the world as being a happily married couple. But in real life, they were not.
Oh,
Dun,
shit.
dun, dun.
Oh, shit.
She said it helped to go to work and act like they were happy together. But she wanted to be a normal family. But her drive for work got in the way of that. So even though she had
Also,
this...
Desi's drive for pussy.
So even though she had this like ideal of like her real life family, her focus was always somewhere else. Plus, also, Desi was an alcoholic and be cheating on her all the time.
Yes, yes.
And they got
That's what I'm saying.
divorced.
Like, if that man don't want to stay, you
I just
don't make him
again,
stay.
I don't like she tours, he tours, just like do the math.
Yeah.
Either don't.
But it's like, but that's the thing. Like you were talking about, like, oh, she seems like a little like for her day left leaning or whatever. But I'm like, I think
That's
that
a fair
she
point.
leans into tradition and like what she thought
She was also
supposed
like
to.
she did
supposed to be.
also was an advocate for like the queer community though and shit like that if I'm not mistaken. Like she definitely.
I think it's hard to be in showbiz and not be an advocate for the queer community.
But this was
most of
at a
the
time
actors you're with
before
are
this was
homosexuals.
this was still like a mental disorder, not
Right.
like
But I do think that she was very stuck on tradition.
sure. No, I'll give you that too.
And was really trying to mold this man into being something that he wasn't going to be, and that sucks for her. And I think a lot of women fall
sucks for
into
him.
I think a lot of women fall into that trap too, because he gets no repercussions or ramifications for his actions. Like
He died.
Don't we all?
She has to try to keep the pieces together and, paint their marriage as like good or whatever. And like he be out there cheating and doing whatever he wants to. And she's putting in all of this labor to make like this mold of a happy family and happy life. Yeah, because then she's just left being, fucking virtuous and at home while he's out doing whatever he wants to do, and there's nothing she can do about that.
For sure.
Like,
Definitely.
there's nothing she can do about it. It fucking sucks. Like, she can't step out of her marriage. She literally cannot do that because that's tabloid. That's like, whatever. But he can do whatever he wants to, and that just stinks.
All right, so anyway, he be drinking and cheating. And so then they get a divorce. And that also ended the show I Love Lucy.
Tragic.
But Lucy, owning the Desilu Productions, she tried to have some reprises to her show.
Okay.
Because she just wanted to be playing her character.
Sure.
So finally, she got a show called The Lucy Show.
Oh.
And it was mostly just her and Ethel. And she and Ethel ended up, between I Love Lucy and the the Lucy Show, they had 25 years and 300 shows together.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucy remarried to Gary Morton, and he was more reliable and stable than Desi.
With a name like Gary Morton, he better be.
Desi was still a producer at their company, and he did not like Gary being around.
That sounds like a show in and of itself.
He's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
One of the videos that I watched was entitled "She Liked Him, but She Did Not Love Him," and it was all about her and Gary.
Martin.
Yeah. All right. So Desi did not like Gary. Oh, I forgot to mention. Lucy gave Gary
The clap.
a job on the show. And so that's why Desi was all like, oh, man, I don't like this guy being around, because they all work together.
Mm-hmm.
Gary also played the bongos.
I mean, I love Lucy, as we all do. But she makes kind of bad decisions.
For sure.
Bitch, what are
Right?
you doing? What are
Right?
you doing?
You got to think about the empire. You got to think about your legacy at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and she did, because
She sold those commemorative plates.
she bought Desi's share of the company.
Oh, hell yeah. She's girl bossing that shit.
So now she was the girl boss over the whole company. But
She died.
no, but she didn't really like that very much, because then she had to go to all these meetings and stuff.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And she didn't really want to do that. She just wanted to be an actor.
I'm monologist.
And then at one point, these people they were like, yo, can we shoot Star Trek here? And she was like, yeah, okay.
Wait, what?
That happened. Star
cool.
Trek.
What happened? You didn't say.
I literally
Somebody
just told
asked
you.
if they could shoot Star Trek at the lot of studios.
Oh, okay.
And she said, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was
So
it George
That's
Lucas?
That's actually pretty poetic, though, if you think about it, because Lucy and Des were the first interracial couple, and Star Trek had the first interracial kiss. That was on.
That's true.
That was on.
That is
screen.
very true.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense, because Lucy and Desi kissed a lot on their show.
It was black, white, interracial.
Oh.
The important one.
Oh.
Did they kiss on the show?
Yeah, they're all of the videos and things that I watched, they were always kissing.
Okay. I'll have to take your word for it.
Okay.
But I thought it must be the first black and white interracial
It
kiss.
is the first black and white interracial kiss. Again, the one
Also
that
the
mattered.
first green and white interracial kiss, which
Absolutely.
is far more
That is true.
groundbreaking.
It is not more, weirdly enough, not more groundbreaking, because our country is so racist against black people. That was fine. It was the reason why they did the black white interracial kiss is because they did the green and white interracial kiss, and people were like, "Nah, par for the course," and they were like, "You're not getting our fucking point."
All right. So I Love Lucy ended because they got a divorce. And she ended up trying to reprise her show 3 different times. And she cast her real children as actors. Did I mention that Lucy and Desi had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they named them after themselves?
Hate that.
Yeah, I'm starting to dislike Lucille Ball.
Yeah, we're definitely doing a follow-up to this.
Okay.
I'm gonna drag that bitch through the mud.
Mommy dearest ass fucking.
The fourth reprise was called Life with Lucy. It lasted for 8 episodes, and then it got canceled. They had a cast party where Lucy showed up late, and the entire time she was just like wandering around, and she was very sad and serious because she knew that that was the end of her career. Mind you, she was like in her 70s at this time.
Seems like such a good run in Hollywood.
And I think that's the biggest issue.
That's the point of my story, is that it was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, at some point, Desi started AA.
Good for him.
Oh, he started attending AA,
Yes.
not founded.
He didn't
AA.
found it.
No. He started attending
That's
it.
a wild story, in and of itself.
But he died.
I was gonna say that I think one of people's like biggest, like one of the issues that like drives me crazy about people is their refusal to know when to stop. And it's like I feel like with Lucy, it's like she could have done so
30
much,
some odd years.
but she could have done other shit. Like,
Oh,
like
sure. I see what
open,
you're saying.
like, why did you try to reboot the show this many fucking times? Oh,
'Cause she's already a legend at this
teach
point.
other people, like, make appearances. Like, you literally could have continued to work without actually doing
Right.
the show, but you didn't know. When
like,
to
she
fucking
could have
stop.
at that point definitely like worked on offer only and just
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why this story was good. I feel like she didn't even know how good it was. All of the trailblazing, all of the things that she did. She could have had a really nice retirement and just done whatever she wanted. But she just had to keep going. She just loved playing the character of Lucy so much that she felt like she had to keep it going.
yeah. And it's like, and she didn't even like necessarily get a chance to actually enjoy her output.
Well, she's so terrified of like having her wealth taken away, like her babushka back in the old country,
right.
you know. So she had to keep working.
But it's like, but she didn't though, because they were good. She didn't have to stop making money. But it is a little sad that what she chose to do was to continue to try to revive the show and then
try to
like,
recreate the success
and
of
then
I Love
and
Lucy
then
as opposed to
the last iteration died in such a Peter, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was just such a
It-
fizzle. Like, so it's like by the time she got to that point, she didn't have any time to just sit down and reflect and think like, oh my God,
Look at what
I've done all of these things.
It's my
And then
last
just,
thing did not
you
compare
know,
to my first thing.
And then just, did a bunch of Larry King appearances and then fucking pieced out off this
Yeah.
mortal coil.
All right. So I had a couple of conflicting notes on what happened here. But what I wrote down is it says she talked to Desi on what would have been their 47th wedding anniversary. And, she was just like, oh, I love you. Like they weren't not together, but they still had this lifelong friendship and appreciation for each other.
Also, children.
Yeah, and also children. And she was just like, oh, I love you. And he was like, I love you too. Good luck with your show. And then he died. And it also says, this is my very last note of my whole story.
Thank God.
She was friends with Carol Burnett, who was also
A legend.
on reprises of her show. She was also a trailblazer for
Absolutely.
Carol Burnett.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
To
no, you
make
can
her
definitely
way.
see that. Yeah.
Definitely. And every year that she knew Carol Burnett, she would send her flowers on her birthday.
Aw.
And Lucille Ball, ended up dying on Carol Burnett's birthday.
Jesus.
And Carol Burnett said that afternoon she received the flowers after Lucy had died. That's the end. That's the end of my story.
All right.
Damn. A legend.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait to cover this from the opposite angle.
I don't even want to know.
I'm gonna it's gonna be great.
Yeah. I wish she wouldn't have tried so hard
Yeah.
and got so far. And in the end,
Nothing
doesn't
matters.
even matter.
I understood that.
This week, I'm gonna talk about a guy from Seattle named Ben Fodor.
Voter?
Fodor. Like Hodor.
Voter.
I need
Like-
water.
Ben, yeah, you do. Ben
Yeah.
Fodor.
Get yourself something to eat, too.
Hi, my name is Ben Fodor.
No, it's more like photo.
That's
That-
it's
that-
problematic.
That was my Hodor impression,
Oh, I see.
but I made it Fodor.
That is problematic still.
Yeah, it is. Remember that time they took that beloved character and they smashed his head in the door frame several times? It was really traumatic.
Hold door. Hold door. Hold door.
Should have held production. Jesus Christ, that show went downhill.
Dude. Oh, God. So bad. So bad. You know, that's my next bad story. The downfall,
downfall
of fucking Game of Thrones. Jesus fucking Christ.
So Ben Fodor was born May 25th, 1988 in Texas. Ben was given up for adoption at birth.
Who?
Ben Fodor.
Ben Fodor.
Ben Fodor. All right. So Ben hopped around from foster home to foster home until he was about the age of 9 when he was adopted by a couple in Seattle. Ben, along with his older foster brother, developed a love for martial arts and decided to go into MMA when they got into a little bit older. And he was actually really good at it. As an amateur, he sported a record of 15-2, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Um,
Whoa.
Is that the reaction you have to?
yeah.
To
I either sneeze or I don't. All right?
am
And this,
not
I did not
sneezing.
sneeze at.
I have no inclination to sneeze.
That's so funny.
As Ben got older, though, life would naturally get in the way of his aspirations. You know, he had 2 kids, and he decided to take a steady job.
He couldn't fight them.
No, he could not. No, they took his ass
yeah.
down. He decided to take a job working at a daycare for children with cognitive impairments.
Hell yeah, you did.
And he was also really good at that. He developed really deep connections with these kids, and life carried on for Ben.
Been there.
We're just
What?
interrupting each other with stupid
This
shit
is
now,
this
huh?
is it. This is the podcast.
I have. I know. I understand that experience. Anyway, go on.
True that. So life carried on for Ben. He raised his children. He developed close bonds with his kids he's worked with. And he clearly had a strong sense of family and wanting to help people. And like I said, he was good at those things. But one day, on his way to work, he was taking his kid into daycare before he went to work himself, and he found his car had been broken into. His son fell into the glass, right?
Oh no.
And he cut himself.
Wait.
So
Why
How?
did his
we'll
son...
get into we
What?
will get into
That
this.
doesn't make any damn sense.
I know it doesn't, and we will get to that. But his kid allegedly fell into the glass, right? And so he snatched up his kid along with a ski mask that he found lying on top of the glass there, and he rushed his kid to the ER. Later on, when he got home, he was talking to some of his neighbors to see if they had seen anything, and apparently a bunch of them had seen something and decided not to do or say anything about it, and that pissed Ben off.
Okay.
So Ben's had a rough week, right? At the end of the week, he's decided, I'm going to go out to the club with the homies
Oh yeah.
and blow off some steam.
Hell yeah.
But Ben steps out to grab some air when he hears a street fight. And he rushes over to see one of his friends getting the absolute shit kicked out of him, right? Dude's just getting his shit pushed in. And again, people are just standing around and nobody's helping. And it was these two events that caused Ben to take that mask he found and don it.
Oh my God, he becomes a vigilante?
And he becomes a vigilante by the name of Phoenix Jones.
Oh God.
And he starts fighting crime.
Was Fodor a nigga?
Yes. Yes. And do you want to know the name he fought under? Was something like Fear the Flat Top, and he had like a flat top. I wrote that down specifically for you. I'm so glad you asked about it. So that's when nobody cared before he put on the mask. You know, it's rough. It's rough out there. He put on the mask. He also spent thousands of dollars on a bullet/stab-proof super suit. He also carried around a stun baton and some 2 million Scoville pepper spray. Ben's early days were super rough going. Not knowing what to do, he spent most of his time just kind of like lurking
perched
on
on a rooftop.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did this for nights with no action. But one night he finally spotted a mugging. And as the two men made off with the woman's purse, Ben was still making his way down the fire escape. By the time he made it to her, the victim, like the criminals were long gone, and she chewed him the fuck out. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing running down fire escapes? You did not help me at all. Go home."
Yeah, you were too high up in the perch.
He
on a rooftop.
also purchased a grappling gun, which he told a homie about, and he was promptly ridiculed for. The friend was quoted saying, "What the fuck are you going to do? Glide down? You're not even going to have time to open a parachute. Get your shit together." He also purchased a net gun, which he used one time, fired off, and then got caught in the net. And a cop showed up and laughed at him and took several pictures before helping him out of the net. As time went on, though, Ben started to perfect his technique. He put together a pseudo-citizen's watch who would report crimes directly to him instead of the police. At the time, the police in Seattle had a dirt poor rating, according to like different watchdog groups.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that they
Yeah,
are.
it's a bunch of fucking like commies over there.
Exactly. He also had a computer installed in his car so we could like keep track of these reports, right? He was doing the damn thing. He started walking regular beats and building relationships with the community, and as he did all this stuff, he prevented crimes. And as he prevented more crimes, the media started to actually pay attention to this dude, to the point where he was featured on various local and national news outlets, including Good Morning America.
Reminds me of the movie Super.
Is that the one with Rainn Wilson?
Exactly.
That's really funny that you bring up that movie because Phoenix Jones, if I'm not mistaken, okay, so he was definitely involved in promotion. Rainn Wilson did a bunch of like promotional material with Phoenix Jones. If I'm not mistaken, he was also a consultant for the film. It's really funny that you bring up that movie. Jones was not without controversy, however. In October of 2011, Jones spotted a fistfight under a bridge, which he broke up using pepper spray. When police arrived on the scene, however, they determined there was no fight. According to them, a group of friends were dancing under a bridge, and Jones had mistaken this for a fist fight, rushed in, pepper sprayed the whole group, and he was arrested on the scene.
It's really hard when you're perched on a rooftop to see, fight can look like a dance.
It's true.
And a dance can look like a fight,
you know? Thank God Batman was not around for West Side Story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that would have been tough.
Or like those flash mobs they did in the 90s.
Or like fucking Johnny and Lucille. You know?
Yeah,
it could have
exactly.
been
Come
terrible.
on, Johnny.
He just swoops in and just beats the shit out of the both of
Well,
them.
he was a criminal, though. Johnny was a criminal.
Absolutely a criminal. Fucking bootlegging scum.
Callbacks.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
That's how you know she's a real comedian.
That's what I'm here for.
Police determined that Jones was mistaken, right? And he was arrested on the spot. However, Jones had been being followed, at the time was being followed by a documentary crew. And they caught footage that determined that they were in fact fighting, and all charges were dropped against Jones.
Interesting.
However, they had also backed Phoenix Jones into a wall. At this point, he was still maintaining a secret identity.
These chips are stale.
But this was about to become public record, right? So Ben Fodor decided right then and there to give a super cringe press conference where he like walked out of the courthouse in full costume. And he goes, so there's one thing I want to do today. And he just takes off his mask and he goes, I'm Phoenix Jones. My name is also Ben Fodor. I'm also a brother, and I also protect the city.
He called himself a brother.
Yeah, because he has a brother, not like a brother, like a brother. You can please cut that out of the podcast.
The brother of who? It's his brother.
It's the saddest way of being like, I have I have
a sibling.
daughters
Yeah.
and a family.
Yes.
I'm a husband and a father.
I don't think he mentioned.
But he
I don't
doesn't-
think he mentioned the fact that he was a father.
Oh, is he a father?
He should have
Oh,
said
Yeah,
that
he
he
has
is a
two
father
kids.
because they fell through the glass. Yes.
He should
Allegedly.
have said that first.
However, this gave Ben's platform a much needed boost.
I don't know if we needed the boost.
He needed it. He
He's,
went on to become.
he's breaking up petty fights in alleyways. Like,
well,
do we
he
need a
has
boost?
bigger aspirations, Lynette, and we'll get to those.
He has one stun gun and a net.
Well, he
like,
wants an army, and he'll get one.
okay. In the mean streets
that's-
of Seattle.
That's called foreshadowing,
Seattle.
Stacey.
Seattle.
Seattle,
In
the Rain
Seattle.
City.
That's,
Maybe-
niggas don't even live in Seattle.
maybe
like,
there'll
brother,
be
why are you there?
Some kind of superhero movement in the Rain City. Who knows? But we'll get there.
I bet he really profited off of like a cab.
You know what? We will actually get there too.
Okay.
From there, he went on to become a guest on Fox News, where he debated a lawyer on whether or not it was okay to do what he does. And he was also featured on Dr. Drew's daytime show that I did not know existed.
Yeah, Dr. Drew has a daytime show. It's full of
Not anymore. He does not.
medicinal kooky bullshit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Him hawking fucking
Yes.
pills and
fucking,
shit. What a
I want to
douche.
talk about Dr. Drew too.
Yeah, and Phil. You know, all the motherfucking
All the doctors.
TV
Oz,
doctors.
we'll get them all.
Yeah, I'm coming for you
Especially
motherfucking
The
head.
Doctors. That show.
The show,
Doctors.
The Doctors? Yeah. Nah, nigga, I'm coming for all y'all.
House.
No. We protect Hugh Laurie at all costs.
You know what? He could have saved you from the lupus, but he didn't.
He didn't even think I had it. He doesn't believe it's real.
Is it curable?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, it's gonna kill
It's
her
an
one day.
autoimmune disease, and that's not how that works.
I know. It'll be something else that kills you.
Exactly.
It'll be a
Lupus,
cold.
the silent killer.
So, Ben used his exposure to reach out to create his own super team. A whack-ass Justice League, if you will.
I love it. Who's their man in the chair? That's who I want to know about.
What do you mean, the man in the chair? I
The
don't get
man
that.
in the chair.
I don't get that reference.
You're not even a fucking nerd.
I
Look at
don't.
you.
I'm a weeb.
Sitting
The
here.
one who doesn't do anything but sits in a chair and tells everyone else what to do.
Well,
right?
that would be his girlfriend, Purple Rain.
She's on the computer.
Yes.
She's that's the
team's-
man in the chair.
She's the team's oracle. That's
It's
how they
crazy
describe
that
her.
Stacy knew what a man in the chair was, and you didn't know what a man in the chair was.
I did not.
I just went off of context clues.
See, and it's crazy that Stacy pretends like she goes off context clues ever when Stacy is the queen of not context cluing.
Having no context for any situation ever. All right, so the team, which was called the Rain City Superhero Movement, was made up of 10 members. I just want to highlight a few. We've already talked about Purple Rain. She managed intelligence. She operated she listened into police radios and shit like that. And she also dated Phoenix Jones. But there was also Red Dragon, a white guy dressed as a ninja for some
Can
reason.
I ask who the fuck was taking care of the kids? I hope they was with
I
their
have
mama.
no fucking idea, but let me do this bit real
And
quick.
I bet Purple Rain was a white woman. wasn't
100%, but it's spelled R-E-I-G-N.
she? Like, you don't get to do that. Prince ain't asked for that. He was not okay with whatever you had going on.
Very true.
Rude.
There was also Red Dragon, a white guy dressed as a ninja for some reason.
But also,
There was also El Caballero, a white guy dressed as a luchador for some reason.
Okay, love that. I hate it. I really hate it. But, also, I will like to say Purple Rain is a pretty badass
It is a pretty great,
superhero
yeah, for sure.
name, especially if it was for
And
a
I would
black
say-
woman with a purple afro.
I want to put
absolutely would
Purple
love
Rain
that.
throughout her time with the Rain City superhero movement and beyond, did some really, really great work raising awareness for and helping combat domestic abuse. She even went on to receive a special recognition from Washington University for the work she did in the area.
That's good, but she should have been a black woman.
For sure,
Continue.
100%. She should try harder next time. There's this great clip of them harassing some brown person on the street, and he's very drunk, and he was probably a little out of pocket when they stopped him, whatever, but at some point he confronts El Caballero about the thing, and he's like, why are you disrespecting my people like that? And he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, and even after like the dude explains himself, he's still like, just like,
Dude, this is so Seattle, though.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Oh, God.
Your
people.
They did
manifest destiny.
again do some good work. They stopped a group of dudes from robbing a blind man. They stopped some carjackings. They this is my all-time favorite video. They aided in apprehending a sex offender at a nightclub. In this video, they are doing one of their nightly patrols, and all of a sudden they hear this woman screaming, so they run over in that direction. It's a woman at a nightclub screaming, pervert, pervert, pervert. And Phoenix Jones rolls on the scene. He's like, what the fuck happened? And she points at this dude, and she goes, that guy whipped out his dick and screamed, helicopter dick, and just started swinging his dick in a circle. Phoenix Jones drags dude off by the ear and like just holds him there until the cops come. And it was entertaining as fuck all around. Highly recommend you watch Phoenix Jones YouTube channel.
Okay. All right. This man is getting on my nerves.
However, Jones also claims to have stopped some anarchists from bombing the courthouse during May Day protests. May Day protests are like labor rights protests that happen annually.
What a piece of shit.
However, most media outlets just reported that Jones pepper sprayed some black bloc protesters. They don't mention anything about a bomb.
Yeah. And even if there were like, I mean, oh my God. Okay.
However,
goofy fucking clown.
The inevitable would eventually catch up with Jones and co. On April 22nd, 2012, Jones was responding to what sounded like gunshots. While Jones was chasing a man he suspected to be the shooter, a 21-year-old girl by the name of Nicole Westbrook lay dying in the street after being struck by a bullet. The bullet was the bullet was intended for the very man that Jones was chasing. Nicole bled for nearly half an hour before the first responders arrived. Nicole was pronounced dead on the scene, and the shooter was never caught. The events of that night were detailed in Phoenix Jones' nightly patrol reports, which were eventually turned into a self-published comic and sold at Comic-Con. And it was reportedly really well received until people started to realize that, this sounds like a true story, and they did a little bit of poking around. And then Jones was asked to leave Comic-Con. Nicole's sister, however, did defend the comic book, hoping that maybe by some chance it would help solve the crime.
Yeah.
Right. But people were pissed off that he was like profiting off the death of somebody. And I want to say this. I don't really see, like, this is a self-published comic book. There's no way he sold enough fucking issues to cover the cost.
I don't know if it's not, like, that's not even the part that, like, kind of like, pisses me off. Mm-hmm. I think it mostly, the part that pisses me off is that he chased this dude away. The bullet was meant for this guy, and this guy was never caught. And it's like, maybe if you hadn't have intervened, this guy would have been fucking caught. Yeah. Because
police definitely followed him after this guy instead of the car that sped off.
Person who had actually,
committed if he had,
this crime. And like, I'm not I can't even put necessarily put, but it's also like fucking ACAB for life. Fuck the police. Like, absolutely. But also, you, guy, just don't have the resources
or the training,
intuition, know-it-all to be doing the thing that you're fucking doing. So, like,
definitely,
like, maybe you're just impeding
privatized police, which is essentially what this guy wants to be, right, is not the answer. Anyway, God, all right. Regardless of how you feel, I feel kind of icky about the whole thing too, but regardless, the Westbrook murder definitely had a profound impact on Jones. He never stopped using his platform to try and find her murderer, but it definitely also had like a noticeable impact on him as a person and how he operated.
Well, yeah, because shit got real.
Yeah,
because
of
you're
course.
you're like, but that's the thing. Like, it's fine. It's all fun and games when you're going after petty criminals.
You're
somebody
weed
taking
dealers.
somebody
Right.
taking somebody's purse or whatever. But like now, somebody has legitimately died,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, now it's not cute.
Not long after the murder, like it clearly had an effect on him, and it changed the way he operated in a way that would go on to affect the rest of the Rain City superhero movement. In late October, early November, Jones made headlines again when a clip of him goes viral. In the clip, Jones stops a belligerent man who obviously becomes more belligerent because he's being confronted by a masked man,
yes.
right? And Jones challenges him to what's called mutual combat. And this is only allowed in 2 states, Washington being one of them, is where if 2 adults agree to a fist fight, they can just do that. And it's
So
fine.
then how the fuck is it justified for that nigga to have stopped the fight that happened before when the people were saying that they were
Because
just
in
dancing
this
and not
clip,
fighting?
Jones says, well, Washington's a mutual combat state. If you agree to a fist fight, we can do that. And the dude says, let's go. And there's also a cop there to supervise, which is an
This is so
important part.
stupid.
It's fucking
This is so
ridiculous.
stupid.
He beats the ever-living shit out of this dude. You can hear the moment when he realizes he fucked up by agreeing to fight Jones, because like Jones does the MMA shit where he like does like a leg sweep and he starts like weaving around and the guy goes, oh, and he's like barely even. It's fucking wild.
Fucking Andrew Tate.
So this happened. This was
Yeah.
reported on as early as November 9th. That was the earliest report I could find on it, like in any sort of publication. On November 19th, Purple Rain announces that she is divorcing Phoenix Jones.
Oh.
And she's also leaving the Rain City superhero movement. In her announcement, she said that she would not address their personal life and that she would also not comment on any of the controversies. What controversies, you might be asking?
Yes, I am asking.
Well, rumors had been bubbling that Jones had been targeting people that were way too fucking drunk to know what fucking planet they were on, let alone consent to, fist fighting an MMA fighter. On top of that, people were also starting to accuse Jones of... Okay, so at some point he changed the rules of the Rain City superhero movement so that any member who wanted to join had to pay him, I think, $87 to buy a flak jacket, as well, I think, as $20 a month for... Rude. $87 for a flak jacket, as well as $20 a month for life insurance, or I'm sorry, health insurance. Of course, Jones never provided any flak jackets or proof of health insurance.
And that's not even how much health insurance costs,
not
my
at all.
big
Well,
doc.
apparently, and that's also not how much flak jackets
And it's like
cost.
Seattle. Health insurance is probably free.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking socialist utopia.
In December of 2013, all of this comes to life when Rain City superhero movement Shockwave publicly calls out Jones on Facebook. And I just want to read part of that real quick.
Yeah, let's go.
Quote, this is from Shockwave. I'd like to shed light on the people Phoenix Jones claims are criminals. Phoenix Jones patrols are always in front of bars or alleys behind bars. Phoenix Jones preys on people who are exiting bars drunk and unable to function normally because they are impaired by alcohol. These are... God damn it. My computer's bugging. All right. These are normally... Wait. Unable to function normally because they are impaired by alcohol. These are normal citizens out to have fun and get drunk and make a few poor decisions, but are generally good people. But yes, from time to time, Phoenix Jones finds a fight, maybe an actual criminal, but mostly just impaired people. Case in point, the Phoenix Jones mutual combat video. Clearly, the guy and his friend are impaired by alcohol, and when Phoenix Jones decides to take them on in a fight, it is clearly not a fair fight. Would MMA allow one fighter to be drunk while the other is sober for a fight? Think about it. If those guys had been sober, would that have happened? South Seattle has true crime like Rainer Avenue and Martin Luther King Jr. Way, but you won't find Phoenix Jones down there fighting real drug dealers and crimes and gang members.
Because he won't, because he's a little bitch
He's
living
a
out a little
little
fucking
bitch.
fantasy.
Goddamn right.
What a little fucking bitch. And like, yeah, that's what I thought as soon as you brought this little bitch ass nigga up, because you're out here lurking on top of motherfucking, fucking buildings and shit, perched up, like trying to save bitches from getting their purses snatched. And it's like, is that the real crime? What's $40 in your credit card information? You can cut that shit off. It's not that big of a fucking
Definitely.
deal. You cannot tell me there's not extra shit going on, that you're just too much of a bitch to fucking
what if he's
handle.
actually-
But you're proclaiming yourself as a motherfucking superhero, but who the fuck is you protecting?
He's fucking harassing
A
weed dealers.
perceived bomb threat that was not actually.
There's
like,
literally videos of him planting planning sting operations for fucking weed dealers.
like a self-important, because like
Which
dude
is
is
poetic as
just
fuck.
in it for the glory of like, I can be a fucking vigilante, and that's just because niggas didn't talk to you in high school and nobody fucked with you because you was a lame ass piece
Well,
of
I think
shit.
he's actually
little
in
bitch.
for a little bit more than the glory, and we'll get there.
Okay.
So,
Hang on.
and that was pretty much the end of the Rain City superhero movement. Phoenix Jones would publicly announce the dissolution just a few months later. Some members would go on to carry on solo. Others would form their own groups. Jones, however, would go on to use his notoriety / infamy to finally launch his professional MMA career. While continuing his patrols on the side, he was at this point kind of honestly mid. He did pretty well. Nothing. His record.
It's
didn't even
crazy
bother
to
writing it
me
down.
he didn't go for like WWE.
I know, right?
What
That
does-
seems
What
well,
does MMA stand for?
mixed martial arts.
Oh.
So I think fight fans, regardless of whether or not they're into professional wrestling, whether or not they're into MMA, whatever, they enjoy a character, and Phoenix Jones provided that. He started wrestling under the
Right.
moniker Phoenix Jones.
So then that's why I'm like, because
I think that's its own skill set at the end of the day.
I do believe, but I do believe you, but it's like, he clearly picked people who were not, on his level
Right.
physically to act out this fucking nonsense. And then he also clearly had like, thoughts and dreams of being like a hero or
At
whatever.
the end of the day, he was better
And
than an
all
amateur,
of those
but not good
things,
enough to maintain
exactly.
as a pro.
So like all of those things lend themselves to being in WWE.
Yeah,
They'll
I think
teach you
if
how
he
to
had taken
fucking
this in
act.
just a slightly different direction, he would.
If he wasn't so self-serious,
Yes.
he would probably have done. And I feel like if he would have done the WWE, like he would have gotten fucking huge.
100%. He continues doing his patrols, right? And as he does so, his behavior becomes more and more erratic. He shows up at a friend's house, and I'm not positive on this, but I'm pretty sure that friend was also a former member of the Rain City superhero movement. And he just straight up threatened to kill this dude
Jesus.
for hitting on his girlfriend. Now, when I watched the body cam footage, when they came to interview this friend of his, it sounded a lot like Purple Rain. And in the interview, or when the cops interviewed him, he was saying, so the dude was like, so I hit on an ex-girlfriend of his, and he didn't like that, so he showed up threatening to kill. And the woman that was talking in the background sounded a lot like Purple Rain. But this is all speculation.
Yeah. But
and
it's like,
he-
how many goofy bitches are gonna be
Yeah,
in
definitely,
for all
for
of
sure.
this fucking nonsense?
On February 11th of 2016, Jones also tweets to the Seattle PD that he had just knocked a man out and left him on the side of the road because he caught the man punching a car with a woman and child inside.
Oh.
And he
He
reported,
caught the man punching a car.
yeah, so it was apparently a road rage incident. And he was just punching this woman's car, and Jones got out of his car and knocked him the fuck out and just left him on the side of the road. Tweeted to Seattle PD, right? He also left his business card with the man, but his business card was just a headshot with his lawyer's phone number written on the back.
Good grief. Okay. His poor lawyer.
And then Fodor faded into relative obscurity until
Like, I'm sorry, that was the last, like...
That was, well, hold up.
No, I mean, like, before he faded into obscurity. He
makes-
left his calling card.
He makes one more big appearance in the media.
Okay.
And then one slightly smaller.
Yeah.
He fades into relative obscurity until 2020 when he was arrested for trying to sell cocaine and MDMA to an undercover cop.
Are you fucking kidding
I'm
me?
dead serious. When the cops were doing the sting, one of them pretended to be a girl and was texting him like stuff like,
God.
"Oh my God, you're a superhero? That's so hot." And he sold this fucking cop Molly. He was also, during the George Floyd protests, spotted at the Capitol Hill occupied zone where all those white people had just like taken over.
white people? Yeah.
He was spotted there trying to keep things under control.
Oh, God.
And that is the story of Phoenix Jones, which I think this proves that you either die a hero or you live long enough for everyone to realize you were kind of an asshole the entire time.
Yeah, because, like, you
Yeah.
know, it is stupid and interesting to me. Like, anyone who puts themselves up to this particular task of, like, defending, you know, their community or whatever, are just self-important fucking douchebags.
Yeah. So there was also this other subsect of heroes at the time who were just cosplaying and going out to feed the homeless and shit, right? And like helping people push their car when they were out of gas.
And that is the thing. It's like,
but he was hypercritical of these people.
Of course.
He was like, "Oh, if you're going out to feed the homeless in a costume, you're just a glorified sandwich handler." Like, bro, like what
But
the
it's
fuck
like,
are
what
you
is
doing?
doing the most amount of good?
Right.
Because you're just beating up drunk people in an alley.
Or
You
like
fucking
going
piece
out
of
to
shit.
harass dudes just selling weed to feed their family. Like he had a
And
hyper
it's weed.
focus.
And you live
It
in
is
Seattle.
100%
You
weed.
fucking asshole.
And he had this hyper focus on drug dealers in particular, which kind of makes me wonder if maybe that's why, or at least he was told that's why his parents gave him up for adoption, was drugs. I'm just trying to like maybe connect some dots here.
That could be.
You know, not that it really matters.
But I would say the alternative to that theory would be my theory that it was drug dealers, because drug dealers are notoriously like not really in it to win it. You're not dealing with like criminals. You know what I mean? You're not stopping.
You're dealing with some fucking schmuck who just
You're
wants to get
dealing
high.
with some nigga that hangs out in front of gas stations
Yeah.
asking for Lucy cigarettes.
Yes.
So like it's like, yeah, I think that maybe it's because those were the people he felt like he could beat.
Yeah.
Like
those were the
that
people
was-
he had an easy time tricking into
Into like
selling
goading,
weed to a dude who clearly had a GoPro stuck to his chest.
like a goading into this fucking interaction. Like it was just a low hanging fruit.
Definitely.
Like fuck this guy, and fuck anybody like him. Like I cannot stand the whole vigilante. Like
Unless you're
Do
driving,
it.
unless
Do
you're
it.
driving a homemade tank, in
Like-
which case that's okay. We
like
do stand that around. here.
Like do it big or do it none. Like what? Because he didn't even have like a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to be cognizant of the issues that happen today, your like a modicum of research will let you know that your low level drug dealer is not the fucking issue.
No,
right?
definitely.
And like you feel powerless to change any of the bigger systems.
Right,
because
because you can't do anything about the systemic issues that create the drug dealer in the first place.
Correct. So it's like, okay, like I understand you feeling fucking powerless, but then to pursue these low level people who are just trying to fucking make it in the world. Like you're just a dick.
Yeah,
then. You're a dick
100%.
because I know that if you did any amount of like research or, you know, understood the problem at all, then this is not the people
Yeah,
that you'd
definitely.
be going after.
You'd be going full Punisher and going after the cops.
The fact that you're doing what you're doing shows me that it's just so you can have some fucking clout, man.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
It was definitely 100% about, like,
That
it was a
guy.
power play for this dude.
Anyway, how the fuck did his baby fall through the damn glass?
See, I don't think...
I'm truly trying to understand.
I don't think that happened. I think...
it was just a backstory. It was just
I
a
think
backstory.
he made up a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
a lot of the
Like he wanted to be a Bruce Wayne, but
really
he's really
that
a
they
Joker.
allegedly did. I could find no evidence for other than like he harassed some people. Like that's the only thing that's on record. Now, is that because the cops were just out to get him and he was actually
Absolutely
harassing
not.
people?
Absolutely not.
Or was he harassing people? Or is it a mixture of the two?
Nah,
I think it's mostly
he
that
was
he was just harassing
He
people.
just sucks, dude. He just sucks, and he was a bitch, and he wouldn't actually go up against anybody that had any amount of
100%.
Because like if you so like back to my story, 8 people were killed over a just like of one baggy
Because they were in the
run
wrong place
of
at the wrong
cocaine
time.
for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Exactly. It's like this dude is actually actively seeking out people to fucking go up against, and this nigga is completely fine. And it's like, why?
But all he had to do was look towards the governor of Arkansas.
It's because exactly. It's because he wasn't actually about that fucking life. He wasn't about that life.
Definitely not.
It was low level. Sean the white guy in the NC fucking the fucking t-shirt that he was going after.
Definitely.
Like not anybody that was about that life. For real.
I love
Nobody
that
was
story.
after him. They didn't think of him as a fucking threat.
No,
Cause like what was
except
he
for the
doing?
police, other than like he's going to get somebody killed. That's the only threat that was there.
Exactly.
Right?
Like
and
he
they
was
were
in
100%.
danger.
This
Yeah.
is one of the few times where like the police were 100% right. Leave this shit to them. Right? Like I don't know. I found that story really interesting because it didn't matter what I pulled from the hat. Like it was equal parts good, bad, and funny.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's a fucking
I agree.
gem.
That was very good.
And we're going to end it at that. You've been listening to The Good, the Bad, and the Funny. The Good, the Bad, and the Funny is hosted by Jesse McIntyre, Lynette Thomas, and Stacey Stark. Intro music by Jared Scott. If you want more The Good, the Bad, and the Funny, you can follow us on Facebook at The Good, the Bad, and the Funny. And if you have any story suggestions or any stories about deer or squirrels you saw recently, you can email us at goodbadorfunny@gmail.com. Everybody say bye!
Bye.
You've been
All right.
listening to The Good, the Bad, and the Funny, the only pod. Fuck me in the cunt. Take 2.
That's the only way I'd fuck you.
That's the only way
That's the only way I want to be fucked.